Welcome to another Fibrenew podcast. We're very happy you're here with us. In this installment, we sat down with franchisees Sam and Lisa Orpillia of Fibrenew Rocklin, which is just north of Sacramento, California. After working from home for about a year and a half during the pandemic, Sam's previous employer called him back to the office, which he did not want to do. The idea of going back to a 9-to-5 office grind prompted him to look at alternatives. He discovered Fibrenew through a former coworker who had opened his own franchise with us, and the rest is history. Sam and Lisa opened Fibrenew Rocklin in January of 2023, and in this conversation they step us through the entire journey to date. From the experience of the initial training, to opening their doors, to Sam's first few months of operation, what they like and find challenging about running a Fibrenew franchise, and to what the future holds for them and their new venture. My name is Jesse Johnstone. Thank you again for being here with us. We hope you enjoyed listening into this conversation with Sam and Lisa. Cheers. You guys opened your franchise. I know there was a bit of a lead up to that. You had some life changes right before that because you started out in Los Angeles and then moved north to Sacramento, pardon me. Let's maybe start with living in Los Angeles and then looking to make the move north and how you decided to open a franchise. How did all that come about?
Yeah, so I lived in Southern California, Long Beach, almost all my life. And that's where I met Lisa. We got married about 2 years after that. But part of the condition of us getting married, or staying together at least, was that one day I would be open to moving to Sacramento because that's where she was originally from and that's where her family is. We never had a set date. In my mind, it could have been 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. There wasn't any particular thing in place to let us know that's the time to go. But when the world shut down and everybody got to work from home, we sort of looked at each other as like, this is the opportunity. If we're ever going to go, this is it. For a couple months, Lisa, was searching for a job to work for the state in Sacramento. And as soon as she got a job, she moved up before I did because I was actually going back into the office part-time. And then eventually they said, all right, you're working from home full-time. And then as soon as that happened, I joined her. So in early 2021, we were both in Sacramento. We bought ourselves a house and we were working from home. But eventually the world opened back up and my work told me it was time to come back to work. And I didn't tell him I moved to Sacramento. So I had to figure out something what I wanted to do. And I after working at home for a year and a half, I realized I didn't want to go back in an office working 8 to 5. That was just not something I really ever wanted to do again. So I thought about starting a business, buying a franchise, different types of things. And that's kind of how I stumbled upon Fibrenew.
What were you looking for in a franchise or a business? Do you remember? I
absolutely remember. I wanted, so the chemical distributor that I used to work for used to be an ESOP. It was family owned. And I loved that culture of where everybody was family. We all knew each other. We all did things together. And we were eventually bought out by a huge multinational conglomerate. And it wasn't the same. Like I knew I didn't want that kind of culture for any place that I worked for. And so most franchises, especially the bigger ones, are large companies. And they're basically exactly that, which was, you're just another number, someone who's going to make the money and that's it. And that's not what I wanted. And that's sort of why I was looking at buying an existing business or starting one. So I didn't have that. But I was friends with somebody, or an old coworker of mine, Dave Presler, I remember back in 2019 or something, he just put a post on Facebook about this franchise that he started. And I was confused as to why he was doing it because I was like, leather and vinyl repair? I had no idea what this was, but it piqued my interest that this guy would start a franchise, which didn't make any sense to me. So I gave him a call and we chatted for a couple hours and he sort of gave me the rundown about what Fibrenew is about. And one of those things was that, hey, they're just like Horn, which was our old company, family owned, everybody's great, not a lot of turnover. Told me about how there's no, Fibrenew doesn't charge a percentage or a real, percentage of your profits, and they just charge you a flat fee every month. And And I was like, well, does that mean they're in my books or anything? They're like, no, they don't. You just pay them the check every month and you're good. And they don't really look into any of that stuff. So it felt very, very independent in terms of what type of franchise it would be. And that was what I was looking for. I didn't know I was looking for that until I talked with him and he gave me that information. And then that's really, it took off really fast from that point. Once I made the call to Fibrenew and sort of started from there. But I think one of the things I was looking for as well was I didn't want to start a franchise and then be like number 20 in the market. And I had to claw my way to the top, right? From what I saw with what we do in the competition, it's like day one from Fibrenew, you're pretty much at the top or near the top. And it's like, you can't put a price on that because I know how difficult it is to be at the bottom trying to win business from other people rather than just letting people know we exist. And then they realizing the value of what we do. And then they come to me. And with someone who didn't really have a whole lot of sales experience, I looked at that as like something that I could definitely do, which is just, hey, this is what we do. This is why you need me. Here's how you reach me, and that's basically what my sales pitch came down to. And it was really easy.
Lisa, I want to ask you, time traveling back to that period when Sam was starting to look at businesses and whatnot, you obviously supported his decision in the end, but what was going through your mind when he started looking at franchises and Fibrenew in particular?
When he started talking about Fibrenew with me, once he started mentioning what it was about, and he was already so excited and bought in. Right? I could trust that this wasn't something that he had just seen a few times online. He was reading reviews. He was talking to people. He was checking out everyone's social media presences, their websites. And the way that he had explained it to me, it really did check all of the boxes that we were looking for. And I think that we were not really looking for different things, but since I knew that he was the one who was going to be doing all the heavy lifting, literally, I think what I was looking for was a great work environment, right? So I was really impressed by how family-oriented Fibrenew felt, even from our first meeting. I was really impressed that you guys had brought me into those first initial meetings, and you guys wanted to know who I was. And to make sure that Sam was being supported by the right people, and that this was going to be a great partnership both ways. So admittedly a little hesitant. We've never done anything like this before, like start our own business. But I was very optimistic, and I trusted that Sam had this game plan. When opportunities come our way and we have a really good feeling about it, I've learned to just trust that gut feeling and to go with it. We've never really been steered wrong, and things have just kind of worked out. So I don't know if it's a matter of luck or that the preparation that we had been doing for years unknowingly leading us to this opportunity. It just felt right.
So Sam, I remember you coming to Calgary for training. I remember you being very diligent in the training center. You were definitely a student of this new career. Mm-hmm. What are some of the memories that come back to that training experience and being in Calgary?
I'll always remember how much fun it was, actually, with like Chad and Bruce and Paul. They were just truly, they gave their full effort. And Chad really went out of his way to make it an entertaining and easy to remember type of experience. And I remember all the smells, from burning stuff. I remember all the mistakes. I just remember the stress that I was in, because you guys do a really good job of training us, but first couple days were way over our head. And I just remember always thinking, my God, how do I do this? This seems so impossible. After a couple of days, and then just feeling like after a week, it's like, oh, this wasn't so bad. And then 2 weeks after, it's like, I think I can do this. But until you actually do it in real life, you still got that stress. But I think it was the stress that made it such a lasting memory, because I knew I had to take advantage of those 2 weeks. And so I was in the training office until like 8 p.m. every single day, just making sure I did everything right so that I could remember that, I wanted to have successes, to take back home. So I didn't feel like I didn't know what I was doing when I left.
So you finish training, you go home, and you're in this new career, this new franchise. What are some of the early memories in those, first few days and weeks?
I bet you everybody who started franchise can remember their first job.
Yeah.
And it's so memorable because it took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, maybe 5 hours to do just the simple, vinyl seat repair that would take like an hour and a half now. But I just remember being so stressed out because the color was so hard in the beginning. You just sit there and you sit there and you sit there and you're like, that's not right. That's not right. And I probably spent, out of those 5 hours, probably 2 to 3 hours of that was just trying to get the color right. But the guy I did the job for was super kind. He was like, take your time. I'm here all day. I didn't tell him it was my first job, but I tell him I was pretty new. And so he had no problem just waiting. And, in retrospect, the color wasn't that great of a match, but it was pretty decent, like compared to what I could do now. But he was super kind about it. He's like, oh, that's great. And he let me, he paid me and I got out of there. And, that was my first job. And the first month, I just told myself, I'm never going to do more than one job a day. I think that was one of the things you guys advised us to do. So I didn't start at 8. I started like every job, like at 9 or 10 if I could. And then I just like took my time. And I would say after about a month and a half, I finally started to get really comfortable with what I was doing. And there was an aha moment for me where I finally like got the color right in like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And it's like, because every job I'd go into, I was just so stressed because I just knew the color could take forever. And so to finally hit one in 20 minutes, it just meant so much to me, and after that, it just gave me so much confidence that I knew I could get the color right fast, and slowly but surely, it just became a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And now it's not that hard. I think I don't even use the color eye anymore. I stopped using it about 2 months ago. Just take the training wheels off. I think at the last trainings, one of the guys told me, he said, just rip the Band-Aid off.
Oh, really?
Don't use it as a crutch. Just go out there and do it. And I couldn't do it until January. I just finally said, okay, let's give it a shot. And it's been no regrets since. I see it now. I see the colors. I know which way to turn, left, right, and I'm not stressed about it anymore.
Good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. So January would have marked just over a year of operation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I like that you remember that aha moment, or the moment when it just started to click. Was that like the 2-month mark? Did I follow that?
Yeah,
correctly?
I would say about a month and a half or 2 where it finally hit me.
Lisa, a very important role is the cheerleading that has to go on. So do you remember Sam coming home those first couple months and, hearing about his day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was you said it a lot, but he was stressed, right? He was so stressed. And I remember him every night on the iPad watching videos over and over again, taking notes. I knew everyone's voice without even having to see them, and I felt like I was learning these processes. But he was, he was such a diligent learner, right, in training. That didn't stop when he got home. I think that it made it more real when he got home, and he thought, okay, I need to really know my stuff for the next day. So he gave himself all evening to figure out, what do I need to do tomorrow, right? And really studying and trying to truly understand this process, not just writing down the different steps. So I think that all of that front end work helped him with his understanding later on, right? Because I think now when he talks about the processes, it's completely different. He has a completely different framework for how he explains vinyl and leather repairs. And it is not just a succession of steps, right? It's an understanding of how these materials work and the nuances of them. So I think that I had to be really patient in those first several months because I didn't see him a whole lot other than him being buried in this iPad. And I remember asking you, is it going to be like this forever? Right? I wasn't really sure what the learning curve was going to be. But we decided we were going to do this, and I could see how hard he was working, and I think it just motivated me to just pick up the slack wherever else it was in our household. I mean, we don't have kids. We have a dog, pretty low maintenance, but there's a lot of other household things, and even just making sure that there's dinner, there's food, I think helped a lot in his learning. It was just one less thing he had to worry about, so he could completely focus on preparing for the next day.
And Sam, those jobs that were coming in off the hop, you said one a day per average kind of thing that you were scheduling yourself. Where was that coming from? Were you drumming that work up? Was it coming to you? A bit of both?
Most of them came randomly, some of them through the websites, occasional call, occasional email, and then the occasional business one that I picked up. Some of the warranty stuff started coming through, and it just slowly trickled. But by the second month, all of a sudden it just upticked. I don't know how it upticked. It just started coming through. And then I didn't even turn on Google Ads until I think like month 3 or 4. And then after that, it's just been constant. I mean, it's just like so many, between all the stuff through the website, through just word of mouth. Word of mouth is starting to come through now. It's really starting to just keep snowballing. Like, hey, of course we're going to have you do this work. And, I'm like, sure, I'm only like a month in and I don't really know what I'm doing. But a lot of it was just, you just got to believe that you know what you're doing and give off that aura to people and believe in yourself. And then it just kept coming and coming, and it really hasn't stopped since.
Were you talking to the support team a lot during those early days?
The first month and a half, maybe 2 months, I was in, I didn't, not just the support team, but also, we have the Hive. So I'd throw stuff up there. Alex, who I did my training with, or not training, but the
ride day.
The ride day. We've stayed in touch, so I'd send stuff to him. I kept in contact with the other cohorts from my group, my graduation class, and we have like a little text group where we would just send stuff back and forth to each other. And so just between all of that, I just had a reasonable amount of people that I felt like I could trust to send questions and answers to. And then I got to know some of my neighbors around here, the Fibrenew neighbors, and I sent stuff to them. And I was able to weed myself off the support staff because I know there's 300 franchises. They got a lot of people to work with, and I didn't really want to be the guy that was calling them every week or every day or whatever it is for something. I knew that that's not what they're there for. They're there to help you for very difficult things that maybe you've never encountered or things like that. Not just like, hey, I can't match a color. Like that's something you just got to figure out on your own and keep working on it. So just got to the point where I probably only talk to the support staff maybe like every 3 to 6 months now.
Wow. Okay. That's part of shedding the training wheels, as we were talking about.
Yeah.
You become the training wheels.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're now at a point where you have some help when you need. So you've got a guy named Michael who you can call on to come in and help you with, I guess, is it larger projects mostly, or how do you determine that?
Yeah. So if I'm doing like a leather couch restoration, that can be a fair amount of labor and stuff, a lot of cleaning and things. So I have him come help me with that. And if I need to move the furniture, it's nice to have someone to help me pick that stuff up. I had a very large job at a hospital where I did like 37 chairs repairs. So and we had a whole room to ourselves. So it was great, like for me, as in terms of like having an assistant, but also it was a great training ground to be able to, have so many repairs over and over that I can show him and have him learn from me at the same time. So yeah, as of right now, he's as needed basis, he's helping me out on jobs. We're not quite at the point where he's going to go on his own. it's not that we even need somebody yet at this point to go on their own, but it's nice to have someone in place if there is the time where it's like, okay, we were either too busy or we need someone to pick up the slack, or if I'm going to be on vacation, it'd be nice to have someone who can continue working, or even if I get hurt, because I've hurt myself a couple times. And, if you hurt yourself, you can't work, the business grinds to a stop. And so it's, just as redundancy and backup, it's nice to have someone in place that can pick up the slack if things happen like that.
For sure. Yeah. You said he's a car detailer in his other life, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is perfect because that business has ebbs and flows. And so you're able to utilize, flexibility in his schedule. Did you know him? Was he a friend, or what's the connection? I'm just curious.
He reached out to me because he had a repair that needed to be done.
Okay.
And so I did the repair for him, and we just started talking after that and just kind of became friends. He started being the guy I would refer people to if someone said they needed car detailing, or if I saw someone's car that needed it. And so we just, sent business back and forth to each other. And pretty soon it just, when I realized that I probably wanted somebody as a backup, I asked him if he was the first person I asked, and he was excited. He was excited to do it. He wanted to learn, and he's been a diligent student since he's signed on.
Lisa, let's go back to you. You were telling me earlier that you've got some organization ideas for the business and some back end work and maybe some marketing ideas. Now you're employed otherwise, but you're helping out in the Fibrenew franchise, obviously. So can you describe some of those things that you're doing for the business?
I had a whole year of not really being able to help Sam out too actively in Fibrenew. But I went and got my master's. Now I'm done. I have some free time. And so I'd love to start helping him with our social media presence. I'm so grateful that you guys do your weekly postings or, periodic postings for us. So our social media is not dead, in the water out there. But I would love to start engaging with people more. I think that we've both been very community-oriented people. We love networking with the other businesses around us. Hope to dive into that a little bit more. I've been telling him to take more before and after photos so that we have some of his stuff to work on. And I work admin right now. I work as an analyst. And so something that I really enjoy doing and I happen to be naturally good at is just organizing things. Mm-hmm. And so this past year has been kind of crazy with starting the franchise, with me going through school. I was telling you our office is kind of a little chaotic right now. So it needs a little tuning up. I should say it needs a little TLC. And I think this is a great opportunity to dive into the back end of the business. And I think that will also help us feel like, oh yeah, this isn't just a business between a husband and wife. Like, we are building something here. We are building a business a reputable business.
We want to set it up where at some point it's just like a larger business, which is the processes are set in place. Everything's, it's not just me running a business, and if I don't show up, nothing happens. We want it to be where at some point, things can be plug and play basically, right? And all those processes so that, it can run smoother, and, our retirement, if it comes to be, we don't want to have to figure out how to do that at the last second. We want it to be where it's ready to go at any time we want that to happen.
Start with the end in mind is the mantra here, right? That's what you guys are doing, really. Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of the best parts of running this franchise. What sticks out for you, Sam?
If I was getting paid $20 an hour to do what I was doing, I probably wouldn't enjoy it that much, but the pay is phenomenal for the amount of work you have to do. Like, honestly, for how much time you have to put into how much, physical it is, it's not that physical. You get paid really, really, really well, and you get to set your prices, and you get to figure out like, hey, this is what my time is worth. And surprisingly, I'm probably still too low. there's a lot of businesses and a lot of people that will pay more than what I'm charging. It's nice to make good money and not have to feel like I'm working, killing my body to do it. Because it is a physical job, but it's not like I'm breaking cement. It's like I'm cleaning, a little bit of work, a little bit of this. Sometimes I have to get a little contorted if I'm working on a car, but other than that, I can't complain about that. And I do enjoy the satisfaction of people enjoying my work. You can't help but feel good when you restore someone's couch and they're like, man, this is the couch that my kids grew up on. I'm just so happy to have it look new again. Or I ripped the seat up and I didn't know what I was going to do. Just so many different positive experiences with my customers that that just, it feels good to know I'm great at something, and I don't even think I'm that great at it. I just think that there's Fibrenew's processes are so good that if you just can do it, you're going to be better than 99.9999% of people out there.
What about some of the challenges? Let's do the truth be told question here. What are some things that are challenging?
In the beginning, you sort of have this, I had this mentality of, I'm going to do everything. Every job, I'm going to give it a shot. And even if it was things that was outside of what Fibrenew taught us in the training classes, but it was within the realm of what I may be doing. And after lots of doing that for a year, I've just decided I'm going to rein that in a little bit and say no to a lot more jobs, and really focus on what I think I do really well. Because the worst feeling I have is when I start doing a job and then I get to a point where I'm like, man, I really don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know how I'm going to fix this, or I've taken things apart and it's like, oh my God, like, I don't think I can fix this, or, and that's not something I'm really great at. The challenge has been to just say no and just figure out what I'm personally good at, and then what I actually enjoy doing. And I kind of have a rule now that I'll give something a shot, but as soon as I feel like I just don't enjoy this kind of work, I just say I don't want to do this anymore. And Fibrenew just offers so many different avenues for different types of jobs. You don't have to do them all. Which are the ones that bring you joy? Which are the ones that make you money? Everything else, just that can be for the techntechnician if I hire somebody.
Michael has work waiting for him eventually, is what you're saying.
Yeah. There's a lot of business to be had if we have someone who wants to do different type of work like that.
Let's time travel ahead now and look at 5, 10, maybe 15 years from now. What does Fibrenew Rocklin look like? What are some of the goals and aspirations and visions there?
I think the biggest transition that I'm trying to make is have our business be more business to business and less consumer dependent or residential dependent. Because, I think that's part of the training classes where they said, hey, you want to be like 80-20 if you can, 80% commercial and business. And, but when you start, it's like 95% residential, and you really just got to work your way the other way. And so slowly building it, account by account, that's the best kind of business, because they just leave you alone. They say, hey, this is what we got to do. There's where it is. You knock it out. They don't sit there and like hover over your shoulder and asking you questions about how you're doing this and, everything. It's just nice to just get in and out and get jobs and go in and know that sometimes you're going to get 3, 4, 5 jobs at a time. But yeah, I would love to have, multiple technicians. The area is still really, really wide open. Sacramento is growing so fast. Like there's like 100 housing developments going on at any given time. And, there's just going to be business growing for us. So to me, I just want to capture as much of that as possible, get in with all the businesses and get to the point where, I got 2, 3, 4 technicians doing mostly everything. And I just handle running the business and doing some of the bigger jobs and doing the sales and stuff like that.
And also the way that you've gone from this introvert, if you could believe it, an introvert, to extrovert, right? When needed, and you're out there networking, connecting with people, and I think it's those relationships that you've built that have grown the company to where it is now, and that's only going to continue.
Thank you.
Has that been a separate challenge in itself, Sam? Being an introvert, or
oh yeah, the sales calls were, those were the hardest part to do the first couple months.
I had to write him a script.
Yeah, she wrote me a script. I joined I joined BNI, so I have a group, a referral group, and probably the best value out of that group is just being able, you have to get up there and do your little 45-second commercial every week, and then you have to every couple months I'm doing a presentation for the group, and it's just became second nature for me now to like do public speaking and to put myself out there and to talk to people and going to networking events and stuff. So that was probably the part I thought I was going to do the worst at, and I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I'm not fearful of doing that anymore. Like if I need to do it, I need to spend a couple days doing sales. No big deal, introducing myself and selling the business, because now I don't even feel like I have to sell the business, in the sense like it just sells itself. That if they have a need for it, they're gonna call me at some point.
Yeah, I think that it helps that you go into your conversations with people with a mentality of, I'm not trying to get something out of this person, right? I'm trying to understand how we can help each other. Like, what needs do you have? What can I get? Even if I directly can't give those to you, I might know somebody, right? And so I think people really appreciate that, because you can sense when someone is just trying to get something out of you, I think. And so people sense your genuine nature to help, I think.
And I imagine as your confidence grew on the technical side of the business, your confidence grew on being able to talk about it, right? Those two go hand in hand. Yes, no?
Everything went hand in hand, because, I remember having that conversation. I'm here telling people what I can do, this and that. And I'm like, I've never done one of those before. Like, how do I know I can do it? Like, but I'm telling them I can do it. And but yeah, once you get the confidence that you can do the job and you can do it well, then it becomes, because you have to know what you're capable of, right? They're going to ask you questions. What if I have this problem? What if I have that? What if this? And I don't want to blow smoke up people's, I want to be able to tell them, yes, I can do this. I know this is possible. I know that we can repair this stuff, and also tell them what we can't do, right? Knowing what my limits are.
Exactly.
Right. And also learning, like, okay, if I can't do it, who can I send them to? Or who do I know that can do this stuff? And I've just built a network of people that I can refer business to for things that I don't handle. And then in turn, that I send business their way, they start referring things my way. And that network of people that I can send the other people to, the customer appreciates it. They appreciate, they trust my expertise. And so for me to tell them, hey, I can say with confidence, this is a person you should go to who can do a great job for that. That feels good as well, to be able to help everyone.
Is he talking mostly about upholsterers or part suppliers or both?
It could be upholsterers, or sometimes it's people that do car repairs that I don't do. Maybe it's like, like exterior or interior, just different types of things that aren't really Fibrenew type stuff. And also a lot of furniture stuff, like if it's like woodworking or just different things that go hand in hand with people with furniture and cars and stuff like that. So headlight restoration, I met a guy who does headlight restoration. He's got a big YouTube channel, and I started watching a bunch of his videos, and it's like, now, so when people ask me about headlight restoration, I can say, hey, here's the guy, and I just send business his way without thinking. I'm hoping he sends something back. It's nice to help someone else's business. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned about this is how can I help other people's businesses? People just like me who are, day-to-day grinding, trying to grow and make money. If I think that they're good people and they're doing hard work, I have no qualms, doing everything I can to help them grow as well. And I think I learned that a lot from BNI, just giver's gain and helping people.
Giver's gain. I love that. the giving without expecting anything in return is huge. That's what you're describing right now, right?
Yeah. If it comes from the heart, where you really, really just want to send them business for the sake of it, because you want to help them, it comes out a lot more genuine, and you start looking for it a lot more, right? Because you're like, oh man, how can I help Mike? And you feel good when you send something to him, and they feel great when they know you're thinking about them.
And you don't build resentment in your heart either, feeling like, well, I sent them all of these jobs, I haven't got anything back, right? You do feel like I get to just help this person, and you let it go, right? And then you just wish them well, and things just work out.
It does. It balances out, because I've probably sent 10 things to somebody and got nothing in return, but I have another guy who sent me 10 things and I've never sent anything to him. So it just balances out in that sense. You can't feel bad or either way, like that you're not getting what you deserve, because if you're thinking about other people, it'll just come back to you.
I wanted to say really quickly, thank you so much to everyone on your team, everyone at Fibrenew, and really everyone that I've met has been so welcoming and warm. And you guys have done a great job of cultivating a kind of a workplace culture, right? A company culture throughout Fibrenew, as far apart as we all are, right? Of this family-oriented, giving, supportive nature. And we feel it all the way here in Sacramento. I love that. If I see another Fibrenew person, we did see one at the trade show, right? And we were able to say hi, and it was great. It was like seeing an old friend, and knowing that we could call anyone up, email anyone, reach out to them, asking for questions and guidance. And everyone has been nothing but supportive. So I am just so appreciative of that. It's made everything so much easier.
Yeah, I look at everyone at Fibrenew, whether it's another franchise or the support staff in Calgary and everybody, I look at them as especially the support staff, I look at them as like coworkers, not like my bosses, like, oh, I got to report to Fibrenew and let them know, and none of that, it's like, we're just friends and coworkers that are just trying to, do great business. And it's nice to know that I'm not thinking of you guys as my boss. That's a different relationship when someone is your boss.
That's good. Yeah, we always talk about our franchisees as our partners at head office, because that's who you are to us. You're not a franchisee. You're someone in this journey with us. So the feeling's mutual. Let me tell you. I want to say, congratulations on the success you've realized so far, and I'm really happy to hear you're enjoying yourselves as well. And just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep following your journey.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks again to Sam and Lisa for sharing their experience with us, and thank you for listening in. If you're interested in learning more about opening your own Fibrenew franchise, please join us for our next monthly live webinar where we discuss all things Fibrenew, and we hear it directly from Fibrenew franchisees. For dates, details, and to register your spot, please visit fibrenew.com/FOF. You can always learn more about Fibrenew franchising, including more podcasts like this. You can see day-in-the-life videos. We have articles and a whole lot more at fibrenew.com/franchising. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast wherever you happen to be listening in from, and please tell your friends about this podcast as well. Thank you very much for your support. Until next time, take good care. Talk soon. Cheers.